Hi, this is my book report talk. It's my second attempt because none of my video wouldn't upload anywhere. The first one I did because it was too long, so I'm going to try to make this nice and short and sweet so that I can upload it and then be done. So the book I read, it is called The Miseducation of Cameron Post, and it was written by Emily Danforth. It came out in 2012. This is the only book that she has ever written. This was her debut novel, and she hasn't written anything since. She hasn't written anything before. So as of right now, this is the only book that she has written. So this book, it's about a girl named Cameron Post, and it's kind of going through her process and the struggles that she is facing with identifying herself as a lesbian and how she handles that along with all the different situations that are happening. So this story takes place in the early 90s and it spans over a 3-year time period. So it starts when Cameron is in 9th grade and it ends at the end of her junior year in high school. It takes place in a very small town in Montana. So in the beginning of the book is when Cameron, she first starts to experiment with her sexuality with her best friend Irene. And Irene also is kind of like figuring herself out too. But then the first night after Cameron and Irene kiss, Cameron comes to learn that her parents were killed in a car accident. So she's feeling some mixed emotions. Partly she is relieved because her parents will never find out what she did with Irene. But she also is feeling like the accident is her fault because God's punishing her for what she did with Irene. So she kind of puts her like the whatever she's feeling, she kind of like puts it away, puts it off to the side, which is a little bit easier for her to do because Irene actually, her family comes into a bunch of money, and they send Irene to boarding school in Connecticut. So once she leaves, it's kind of like it kind of goes away. So Cameron's grandma and her super religious aunt, they come to move in and they take care of Cameron now that her family is gone, or that her parents are gone. And Aunt Ruth, she starts bringing Cameron to church, and she starts making her go to the church youth group. So on one side of her, she's kind of getting like all this from the church, and then on the other side, she's still like kind of curious about her feelings. And actually, she turns to videos and she starts renting movies that have lesbian sex scenes in them. And for a while, this is the outlet that she uses until she meets a new friend named Lindsay, who is from Seattle, Washington, and she comes to Montana every summer. And she joins the local swim team, which is where she met Cameron, because Cameron's on the swim team and she's a great swimmer. But Lindsay is actually, she's an out and proud lesbian, but Cameron, she doesn't say anything because she's still, like unsure, and she doesn't know like if she should trust whoever. But throughout the summer, Lindsay starts making little like comments to Cameron to let her know that she, kind of knows what's going on. Until the one day she says, that she would take Cam to Pride Day if she could, which lets Cameron know that Lindsay, she knows. So Lindsay kind of becomes Cam's expert in all things lesbian related. Like, she sends her music, she recommends movies for her to watch because she knows movies are her outlet. And she tells her all about her own sexual experiences. But unfortunately, at the end of the summer, Lindsay has to move back to Washington. So it's around this time when this new beautiful girl named Coley, she moves to town, and Coley and Cameron become really close best friends, and Cam starts to notice that she has feelings for Coley. But Coley, she's like the all-American girl. She's beautiful. She has a boyfriend. She goes to church, and she has no idea that Cameron is gay. And actually, Coley persuades Cameron to start dating one of their classmates named Jamie. And then Coley, her boyfriend named Brett, Cameron, and Jamie, they become pretty much like inseparable for the school year. And then towards the end of the year on prom night, Jamie and Cameron, they're having a talk, and Jamie tells Cameron that he knows that he's gay. So Cameron's super embarrassed, and the first thing that she's worried about is if the rest of the school knows, mainly if, Coley knows, which Jamie says no, that no one knows. They just look at her as one of the guys. And Jamie promises to keep Cameron's secret, and they kind of bond over the secret, and that's kind of the way their friendship goes. Like when they talk, like sometimes they talk about girls and all that. So with the summer, as the summer starts, Coley and Cameron's friendship, it gets stronger, and so do Cameron's feelings for Coley. And eventually one night during the summer, Coley mentions to Cameron that she can tell that Cameron likes her. Cameron kind of brushes it off and makes it out as a joke until Coley kisses her, but Cam kind of pushes her away because she's still like not sure, but Coley keeps at it, so eventually Cameron like gives in. And then that summer it kind of like begins. They have this like secret love affair. They sneak around together, they go to the movies, they make out all the time, but nothing progresses to that point until Coley finally gets her own apartment. In town, because her parents' ranch is so far away, and the school set that up, that if they live so far away, they can have an apartment in town. So Cam and Coley's plan is to have this romantic night together in Coley's new apartment. They eat dinner, they watch movies, they drink some drinks, and then eventually things progress past just the making out point. However, Coley's brother comes to the apartment drunk and needing a place to crash and interrupts everything. So like the girls, they like get themselves, together. They bring the boys in, and Coley becomes, very quiet and very openly irritated with Cameron. And then Cameron eventually winds up leaving. So then in the next few days, Cameron comes home to her aunt Ruth and the pastor of their church, and they sit down and they let Cameron know that Coley told the brother, who then told their mom, who then told the pastor, who came to tell Aunt Ruth that Cameron had performed all these sexual acts on Coley and took advantage of her friendship and influenced her. So Aunt Ruth and the pastor both agree that Cameron's sick and that she needs to go be fixed, and she needs to be sent to this Christian teen camp called God's Promise, where gay teens go to learn how to overcome their urges and live a happy, normal, heterosexual life. While Cameron's there, she meets other teens who are dealing with the same issues that she is. She has weekly one-on-one counseling sessions with the leaders of the camp. Rick and Lydia, Cameron, she despises being at the camp, and she is not open to their teachings at all. She tries a little bit to open up her heart, but one day while they're in group counseling, one of the fellow teams named Mark, he has like a complete like mental breakdown. And like he says, after being told his whole life that he's wrong and a sinner and an abomination, and he's not good enough by his dad, who is this like famous like preacher, like Christian preacher, he goes like completely like off the rail during the group session. So the Rick and Lydia, they take him out, and the next day Cameron learns, and everyone starts to learn, that Mark, he's in the hospital because he hurt himself. It says that he used a razor to cut his genitals, and then he poured a bottle of bleach all over his wounds until he passed out. So Cameron and the rest of the teens, they were like super upset, not only about the situation, but also about how the camp was kind of handling it, and kind of like not only like brushing it under the rug a little bit, but also like kind of saying, well, like it's because he's not accepting our help that's why that's it's like getting to him. So Cameron, like, she's fed up, and she's just at the point where she's like tired of being told how wrong she is, and that something's wrong with her, and she didn't need to be fixed because there's nothing wrong with her. So Cameron, one of her friends from the camp named Jane, and a boy named Adam, they all decide that at the end of the school year, after the finals and everything are over, that they're going to run away. So they devised this plan, and actually they gained special permission from the school to go on a hike, which gave them a nice little head start before anyone realized that they had been missing. And when the day came, they actually decided to hike to the lake where Cameron's parents were killed in a crash, because it's just a couple hour away. So when Cameron's there, she finally really gets the closure that she needs regarding her parents' death, and she kind of lets go of all that guilt that she's feeling. But then she also feels at peace with herself, because she realizes that she is okay the way that she is, and there's nothing wrong with her. And it just kind of brings her, this peace that she has her whole life ahead of her, and that she can go anywhere and do anything. So that was just a real quick synopsis of the book. Some of the, let me find it. So one of the themes that I noticed throughout the book was some substance abuse. And I think, I don't know if that can be a theme, but I think that is a big theme throughout the book. Cameron, she's dealing with her parents' unexpected death, and she uses drugs and alcohol. She smokes a lot of pot, and she drinks. It doesn't say anywhere that she has a problem with it, but it is something that she does when she's with her friends. Also dealing with all the issues going on with her sexual orientation and her identity, and the confusion that she's feeling. I think that goes along with it too. Also, when she's at God's Promise, the camp, she finds her friend Jane. She meets this girl Jane, who actually grows her own weed somewhere in the forest outside of the camp. So they kind of use that as their escape when they're at the camp, smoking weed. So I would think that is that could be a recurring theme, because it happens throughout the book. Just randomly when she's hanging out with her friends at prom, even when she's at God's Promise. But in terms of would I recommend this book, so okay, at first, no. I would say no, that I wouldn't, just because it took me a very, very long time to get into this book. This book is it's 470 pages, and the words are really teeny tiny. So it took me until about page 200 when I really felt myself getting into this book, because that's when stuff started happening for Cameron, when stuff started spiraling out of control. There's a lot of background information in the beginning of the book where a lot of details where you really learn who Cameron is. I actually found the movie when I was finished reading, and I watched it on Amazon Prime, and it just starts right from when she goes to the camp. So you don't really know too much about her before that, and why she's there and what really happened. So I realized then that all that background information is absolutely very important to the story and to getting to know Cameron. So now I would say yes, I absolutely recommend the book. Just also because all of us have struggled with some aspect of who we are and being accepted by society and by our peers and our family. And while Cameron's struggles may have been much different than ours, it was a book that when I put it down every night and tried to go to sleep, I just thought about this book. I thought about what was going on. And even now that it's over, it sticks with me. Still. So, as for the audience of this book, who would like this book, I don't know. I feel like men may not enjoy this book as much as a woman might. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit more relatable to a woman. Not to say a man can't relate to this and a guy wouldn't enjoy it, but I feel like it might be I don't know, I feel like it might have more of a woman audience than a male, if that makes sense. So my alternative book report, it is resources for the character. I actually have a PowerPoint that I'm going to upload into the post with this video. Hopefully this video it works this time. It already is a lot shorter, so hopefully I was able to get all my points in. And thanks. Bye bye.